As the new arrivals from the Old World set foot on the shores of Abex, one determined group sought to carve out their own destiny by forming the Duchy of Aquitait. This group was led by Henri de Rouva, a noble of Haljan descent, whose vision encompassed not just survival, but the flourishing of a community free from the constraints of the old monarchy. Henri had previously played a crucial role in overseeing the development of Domari Island and had also served as an architect for the renowned Rafni Legion. His leadership was marked by a profound desire to establish a society reflective of Haljan ideals, one that emphasized autonomy, governance by the consent of the people, and a commitment to their cultural heritage. Upon landing in what is now known as Bordelos, the settlers quickly established a small camp, marking the beginning of their new life in this foreign land. This initial settlement endured for several years, during which the community worked tirelessly to create a foundation for their burgeoning society. However, the camp's stability was tragically shattered with the passing of Henri de Rouva. His death was a significant blow to the settlers, who had looked to him for guidance and inspiration in their quest for a new Halj, shaped in their own image. Following the loss of his father, Henri de Rouva II stepped into the role of leader, determined to honor his father's legacy while continuing the journey toward establishing their new home. He made it a priority to ensure that his father received a proper burial, a testament to the values of respect and remembrance that defined their community. To commemorate Henri de Rouvière's contributions, Henri II oversaw the construction of a statue that would mark his father's grave. This monument was not merely a tribute, it held deep symbolic significance. The statue depicted Henri de Rouvière holding a staff, representing leadership and guidance, alongside a Haljan tree that had been salvaged from their homeland. This tree served as a living connection to their origins, a reminder of their roots and the sacrifices made in the pursuit of freedom. Yet, the journey of the Duchy of Aquitait was not without its challenges. In time, the statue became a target of unrest as Arglesian rebels sought to dismantle the symbols of Levani heritage that they viewed as undesirable. The monument was vandalized and destroyed, leaving the citizens of modern-day Aquitait in despair. However, in a twist of fate, a single seed from the Haljan tree managed to survive the onslaught, eventually taking root and regrowing into a magnificent tree. This resilient growth not only symbolized the enduring spirit of the settlers, but also served as a powerful reminder that even in the face of adversity, their heritage and ideals could continue to thrive in the land they had come to call home. A new settlement was established in modern-day Vilcamisha was a sight to behold, characterized by its nutrient-rich soil and soft, inviting beaches. Recognizing the potential of this fertile land, the settlers quickly set about creating a vibrant village, complete with a small church that would become a cornerstone of their community. It was within the humble walls of this church that Henri de Rouvière II was crowned King of Velikomet, marking the beginning of a new era for the settlers. His ascension was not just a personal milestone, but a pivotal moment for the fledgling nation, setting the stage for ambitious projects that would shape its future. One of the first initiatives under Henri II's reign was the construction of extensive farms to the east and north of the burgeoning city. The fields flourished with crops of wheat, corn, and various berries, transforming the landscape into a tapestry of agricultural abundance. This newfound prosperity enabled the citizens of Velikomet to establish connections with their modern-day sister duchy, the Kingdom of Lilia. The initial interactions between the two nations were promising, as Henri de Rouvière II recognized the potential for mutual benefit. He spearheaded the creation of docks and bustling markets across his kingdom, facilitating trade with Lilia and ensuring a steady exchange of goods and ideas. To further solidify this budding alliance, he married a distinguished Lilian woman, weaving a personal bond into the fabric of their diplomatic relations. The shared economic interests and cultural similarities between Velikomit and Lilia blossomed into a close partnership, which would prove to be crucial for the future stability of Levon. Throughout Henri de Rouvia II's reign, his focus remained steadfastly on domestic development and nurturing the relationship with Lilia and home. It was here when he started work on Notre Dame Cathedral, replacing the original church. He also focuses on politics abroad. He recognized the importance of expanding Velikomit's influence. He was cautious about establishing diplomatic ties with the neighboring kingdoms of Levan, Champagne, and Bordeaux. The tense relationships among these powers left him wary, especially as tensions mounted, eventually leading to the outbreak of the Wood War. During the years leading up to this conflict, Henri II astutely exploited various opportunities to enhance Velikomit's standing. He oversaw significant expansions of the docks, enabling the construction of a formidable royal navy. Within just 1 year, the Velikomit navy emerged as the dominant maritime force in the western Talassi waters, a testament to Henri's strategic vision. Despite his growing naval power, Henri too proclaimed neutrality with Lilia and chose to observe the Wood War from the safety of his homeland. He understood that while a powerful navy could provide protection against seafaring threats, it could not prevent a land war from affecting Velikomit's borders. As his reign progressed, he dedicated his final years to bolstering the army and fortifying the defenses of Velikomit, fully aware that the future of his kingdom depended on its preparedness for inevitable conflicts. However, the passing of Henri de Rouvia II marked a profound turning point. His death signified the end of what would come to be known as the Golden Age of the de Rouvia family. With his son, Henri de Rouvia III, ascending to the throne, the once thriving nation of Velikomit faced a slow decline. Henri de Rouvia III's childhood was steeped in privilege, as he spent much of his formative years in the opulent kingdom of Lilia. This environment, brimming with luxury and indulgence, shaped his character in ways that would have lasting consequences for the future of Velikomit. As he matured, his interests gravitated away from the responsibilities of governance and toward a life of pleasure and excess. Enormous balls, lavish feasts, and an extravagant lifestyle marked his reign, with significant portions of the national treasury squandered on fleeting pleasures and the company of courtesans. This behavior earned him a reputation as a spoiled brat, utterly unprepared to face the realities of leadership when he inherited the throne from his father, Henri de Rouvia II. By the time of his father's death, Velikomit found itself under the rule of a king who had little understanding of, or regard for, the needs of his people. While he made efforts to strengthen ties with Lilia, these diplomatic pursuits came at the cost of neglecting his own kingdom. The largest one being the loss of Alsace-Lorraine to Champagne, a territory with several harbors and forts controlling the Nocelle Straits. His focus on personal gratification overshadowed the growing discontent among his subjects, who were increasingly frustrated by the lack of attention to their welfare. As the War of Unification erupted, this dissatisfaction boiled over, and the people of Velikomit rose in revolt against their king. Mere months before the war officially commenced, they were ignited by a fervent desire for change and justice. At the forefront of this revolution was Catherine de Rouvia, the eldest child of Henri III, who emerged as a formidable leader. The teen had her charisma and determination galvanized the populace as they stormed the royal palace, demanding that Henri III abdicate in favor of a more responsible and attentive ruler. The revolutionaries were called Picards, named after a local eagle for their unyielding power and strength. Faced with overwhelming opposition and the fervor of the revolutionaries, Henri III refused to yield, ultimately fleeing to the neighboring kingdom of Champagne. There, he sought to establish a government in exile, rallying support against the Confederation of the Flower. However, his departure marked the end of an era for Velicomet. With the king's exile, Catherine de Rouvia ascended to the throne, but she was acutely aware of the need to distance herself from her father's legacy of extravagance and neglect. In a symbolic break from her past, she adopted the surname de Siffler, signifying the transition of power and a new chapter for the kingdom. This decision not only reflected her desire to redefine the monarchy, but also marked the official end of the de Rouvia family lineage in Velicomet. As the Siffler family took the reins of leadership, the kingdom embarked on a journey toward reform and renewal, striving to rebuild the trust of its people and navigate the tumultuous waters of the War of Unification. Immediately after ascending to the throne, Catherine de Siffler made a decisive choice to renounce any plans for Velicomet to join the Confederation of the Flower. Her primary focus was on rectifying the myriad issues her father had created during his reign. This bold move inevitably created a rift between Velicomet and the Confederation, positioning Velicomet as a third faction in the ongoing conflict, one that had not aligned with either side in the war. Velicomet observed the turmoil from the sidelines, carefully assessing the situation. Ultimately, however, the kingdom joined the war as an independent power, seeking to leverage its newfound stability and the promise of territorial gains post-conflict. Despite the initial cooperation, Velicomet faced ongoing conflicts with neighboring kingdoms. The King of Argyll, in particular, sought to expand the war by demanding that they maneuver into the Nossal Straits, opening another front. This provocation was met with fierce resistance from Queen Catherine and her advisors, who vehemently rejected the king's orders. They argued that Argyll's lack of naval experience rendered him unfit to command their forces. Catherine emphasized that Velicomet would never take orders from a foreign power, citing the strategic challenges of the narrow straits and the fact that their enemies lacked a navy, making such maneuvers unnecessary. Instead, her administration prioritized the development of their ground forces, believing that a robust army was essential for the kingdom's security. This would prove pivotal for Velicomet. As the war reached a standstill, the absence of naval support posed a significant challenge to all involved, with battles dragging on indefinitely. The Velicomet troops were bogged down in a campaign to capture the Nossal Straits. Series of defensive fortifications were built by Champridge, which proved effective against the Velicomet army. The Nossal Strait was too small for the powerful navies of Velicomet, and the dense forests protected the fortifications from bombardment. The result was a series of sieges and razing of Champridge forts, as the Velicomet army couldn't hope to hold them. This resulted in heavy casualties and would have effects back at home. In response to this stalemate, the ingenious shipbuilders of Velicomet rose to the occasion, crafting the innovative gunboat, a small, agile vessel armed with a cannon and capable of carrying 20 men. With a size small enough to cross the straits, they led Velicomet to victory at the straits. These gunboats quickly became a game-changer in naval engagements, overpowering the rudimentary naval forces of Champridge and effectively blockading their ports. In a show of solidarity, a contingent of Lillian sailors manned some of Velicomet's gunboats, enhancing their operational capacity and assisting their allies. Commanded by Vice Admiral Jean-Pierre de Saint-Cloud, the joint Lillian per Velicomet landed behind the forts and encircled them. Although a costly tactic, it brought victory to the war effort and opened the roads to Merhagen. The Nossal campaign wasn't the most famous theatre in the war, but it proved to be of great importance. The culmination of the war brought with it significant changes. Velicomet emerged victorious, but not without a cost. Several losses in the army were caused by inexperience amongst generals and grinding conflict. The Nossal campaign, more commonly known as the March to the Straits of Hell, inflicted heavy casualties within the Lillian and Velicomet troops. a huge loss for both nations, as they lost a significant amount of their people. However, the gains of the war allowed for Velicomet liberation of Alsace-Lorraine and another prize coveted by the kingdom. Among the spoils of victory was the capture of Henri de Rouvia III, who was brought to justice for his treachery. He was executed by the guillotine, marking a dramatic end to his tumultuous reign and serving as a stark warning to any who would threaten the stability of Velicomet. In the post-war period, Queen Catherine dedicated herself to rebuilding and strengthening her kingdom. One of her crowning achievements was the repair of a massive cathedral, alongside other ambitious domestic projects aimed at revitalizing Velicomet. She established a military academy that would become a cornerstone of Velicomet's defense, leading to the formation of the renowned Velicomet cavalry. This new military branch not only enhanced the kingdom's ability to protect its borders, but also positioned Velicomet as a more dominant regional power. The restoration of Notre-Dame Cathedral symbolized the dawn of a new golden age for Velicomet, a period of prosperity that would extend well into the modern era. Alongside her son, Louis Capet, Queen Catherine oversaw the kingdom's southern expansion, solidifying its influence in the Levani lands. As she aged, Louis Capet gradually took over the reins of power, striving to uphold the vision and legacy of the Velicomet dream, ensuring that the kingdom would continue to thrive and prosper in the face of future challenges. The bells of Notre-Dame tolled mournfully through the stillness of Velicomet, marking a profound moment of loss. The streets, usually alive with the sounds of daily life, fell silent, as if the entire city paused to mourn the passing of its beloved queen. Catherine the Great, a leader who had inspired countless citizens and embodied the spirit of Velicomet, had died. Her final resting place in Notre-Dame was a testament to her enduring connection with her people. There, she could remain forever among them, a guardian spirit watching over the kingdom she had shaped. The coronation of Louis Capet was a somber affair, overshadowed by the grief of losing the nation's greatest leader and protector. As he took the crown, the atmosphere was heavy with the weight of expectation. Catherine had been more than a ruler. She was a symbol of Velicomet nationalism and a beacon of hope born from the revolution she had ignited. Her vision for the kingdom had inspired generations, and her death left a palpable void. Draped in the banner of the revolution, the city mourned, reflecting the deep sorrow felt by all who had thrived under her reign. In the wake of this loss, Louis Capet sought to maintain the status quo, ensuring that Velicomet remained independent yet aligned with Levanese. He recognized the importance of stability in a time of mourning and uncertainty. His son, Jean-Philippe François de Siffler, was a reflection of both his grandmother's legacy and his father's leadership. At just 19, he was still grappling with the enormity of his new responsibilities and had to experience the unexpected loss of his father. He lost these two great Velicomet leaders in 4 years. Jean-Philippe was deeply influenced by the stories of Catherine's resilience and vision. Inspired by her, he endeared himself to the common folk, often engaging in hunts with them and participating in local festivals, embodying the spirit of the revolution she had championed.
However, as he stepped into his role as king, the young monarch faced immediate challenges. The echoes of his grandmother's revolutionary spirit were soon drowned out by the harsh reality of political maneuvering. Neighboring kingdoms began to assert their interests, knocking on Velicomet's door with increasing urgency. To his dismay, Jean-Philippe watched as his father's advisors were replaced by those aligned with Levani interests, a shift that left him feeling vulnerable and uncertain about the future. The young king realized that he stood at a crossroads, to uphold the dreams of his grandmother and father, or to navigate the turbulent waters of diplomacy in a rapidly changing political landscape. The weight of history pressed heavily upon him, and as he grappled with the legacy he had inherited, he knew that the path ahead would demand both wisdom and courage. On a calm Sunday morning, the people of Velicomet gathered in their churches for Mass, their hearts united in faith and remembrance. Yet, within the royal palace, young King Jean-Philippe François de Siffler chose solitude over the communal gathering. In the quiet confines of his study, he wrestled with the weight of the future that lay before him, poring over a letter from the King of Levan. The words on the page echoed ominously in his mind, highlighting the precarious position Velicomet found itself in. As the last Levani kingdom to remain independent, Velicomet was now the target of threats, menacing missives from Levani generals and whispers of encroaching outsiders seeking to destabilize the region. For years, Jean-Philippe had endured this mounting pressure, trying to uphold his grandmother's legacy while navigating the treacherous waters of political intrigue. He hoped that diplomacy could stave off the impending conflict, but the winds of war were gathering. The atmosphere grew increasingly tense as reports from his scouts revealed unsettling signs of mobilization within Levan. Troops were amassing, and the young king could feel the noose tightening around his kingdom. Then came another letter from the King of Levan, more forceful than the last. The ultimatum was clear: join the Confederation or face the consequences of defiance. As Jean-Philippe read the words, his heart sank. He understood that resistance was becoming less viable by the day. The sacrifices of his grandmother and father loomed large in his mind, but the reality of the situation was undeniable. Faced with this grim choice, Jean-Philippe made the fateful decision to yield to the pressure and align Velicomet with the Confederation. It was a moment fraught with regret, knowing that he was sacrificing a measure of independence to ensure the safety of his people. The echoes of the past reverberated in his mind, reminding him of the ideals of freedom and sovereignty that had once defined his family's legacy. Yet, he was acutely aware that the survival of Velicomet, and the lives of his subjects, took precedence over his own ambitions. Thus, with a heavy heart, he set in motion the formal process of joining the Confederation, hoping that this choice would usher in a new era of stability and peace for his kingdom.